What's good, people? We got a new install video for you today. We got some 2021 F-150 LED headlights that we're going to be putting on 2021 F-150. So these are the high-end LED projector style, and the ones that are on the truck now are just the basic halogen ones. And so what we got here, this is for the headlights. We're actually doing taillights as well, but for the headlights, we got obviously the headlights here. We paint matched them. They're Velocity blue with some gloss black to match the truck. And then we also have the conversion harness here. It's made by Ryan Industries is who we use for our harnesses. He makes great harnesses. But this is a brand new harness that he just came out with, and it's pretty much so if you do have the halogen F-150 headlights, this harness right here makes it able for you to go to the full LED style headlights. So it looks like a very complex harness. It kind of is, but it's still pretty much essentially plug and play with some force scan changes. So that's what we're going to be doing on the headlights. We also have some taillights there that we can show you in a little bit, and those also we have a conversion harness too, because we're going from the halogen taillights to the LED taillights, and we smoked and painted the border on those as well. So we're gonna go ahead and get started tearing the truck apart, and we'll kind of document that a little bit, so if you guys are looking at doing this, we can just have everything all in the same place as far as installation, wiring the harness up, putting the headlights in, doing the force scan changes, whatever it may be. So yeah, let's get going. So the installation for the taillights is pretty much the same exact thing as the previous years, the 2015, 2020s. You just have your two 8mm screws right here, and then the taillight pops out. And then these are the conversion harness that we have to go from the halogen to the LEDs that we have right here. So it's fairly simple. It's just pretty much changing the plug from the factory halogen to the factory LED. And then there is just one forward scan change that needs to be made in the truck. So we're gonna go ahead, pull these, slap them on, and then get these installed as well.
Are you actually filming?
Yeah.
Oh, I should stay out of your way then.
I mean, you could be in the video.
And I like being in the video when I'm not doing anything.
That's my assistant Jerry. He just likes to watch me work.
Can I hand you it? Can I be in charge of that? Just twist it all the way over. Did you get that?
Get this shirt? Where can you get this shirt, you ask?
Yeah, where can you get this shirt?
Oh, since you're asking, you can get it at precisionretrofits.com.
Boom.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Where's your shirt?
Where's your shirt from? What's your job? Installation on the headlights now. In order to tear off the front grille and this little fascia piece right here, in order to get the headlights out, there's two 7mm screws on the inside right here of the fender well. Just pull those out, and then there's on both sides obviously, and then this piece will just pull off You got to use a little bit of force, but it's just clipped in pretty much. And then for the grill, you want to open the hood, and then you have this little rubber cover piece right here. It's just these little push clips that are in them. Unclip those, this piece will come off, and then there's going to be some 10mm screws on the top here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started by pulling this fascia piece off, and then we'll move to the grill. Okay, so as I said, there's just the two 7mm screws on the outside, and then pretty much the rest of it you just gotta pull. Just pull and pray pretty much. It's mostly just these clips. You can kind of see them here. A couple of these. That one obviously fell off. We'll get that put back on. But then these things is what sits in between the grill and the middle piece right here. So it's a little nerve-wracking pulling it off, but like I said, you just gotta pull and pray that you don't necessarily break anything. Try to pull it evenly so you're not, bending, cracking anything. And then once you get that off, then we're gonna move to the grill next. So we got the top piece off. Like I said, that's just the push clips that pull right out. So get those off, and then once you get that off, you'll see there's 4 10mm screws that go in the top of the grill right here, all across the top. Pull all those out, and then after you remove that fascia piece, you'll see also on right in here, connected to the grill on both sides, it's an 8mm screw that goes in there. Pull those out, and once you get all those out, the grill will literally just pull right out. It gets caught a little bit on this rubber piece right here, so you just kind of gotta wiggle it out a little bit. And then also, if you have these wires on top, different models be a little bit different depending on if you have the front camera. On the emblem, you might have a little more wires, and like a washer nozzle tube and whatnot. But once you get those unplugged, like I said, the grill, you just pretty much kind of need to wiggle it out a little bit, and then comes out just like that. So now that we got this out, move on to the headlights next. Then for the headlights, there's 2 more 10mm up top. There's a little push clip that should be on the top here, and then there's an 8mm right down here, and then on the side there's also a 10mm on the side here. So it's extremely similar to the previous year F-150, where you get the 2 bolts up top. You have the one on the side, and then you have a couple down here. It's a little bit different brackets and whatnot, but essentially the same idea. So we'll go ahead and get those pulled, get the headlights pulled, and then we can start installing our wiring harness. So also, there's one more that I forgot about. There's a screw. You can kind of see it on the bracket on the side here. There's a little rectangle opening. You can see there's a tiny little nut right there that's holding the headlight in. So you need to make sure to pull that off too. It's an 8mm. So you probably need to get like a little ratchet wrench or a socket and an 8mm. So get that pulled, headlight will come out. Alright, so we have the conversion harness here that we're going to install for the headlights. Just wanted to explain it a little bit and show you kind of how it's all laid out, what's going to go where, that sort of stuff. So we're going to start out with the driver's side. This is, they're all labeled and everything. So this plug says, obviously, labeled driver. This is the plug for the factory LED headlight. And then right behind it, it has the plugs for your old halogen connections. So, and then it's got this resistor and a ground point, and you just ground it to the body or the frame or whatever is closest that you can get a clean ground from. And then also, these harnesses come with the ability to connect the factory fog lights in if you're converting from the halogen fog lights to the LED fog lights. We don't have the fog lights today for the install. We're going to install them later on this truck. We just don't have them ready yet, but we're going to run it so that when we do install the fog lights, this is literally sitting right there, ready to be plugged in. And again, it has a connection for your LED fog light, and then the connection for the harness, for the old halogen harness that'll go on this side. So, and then you're gonna wanna, you'll run the harness across the front of the frame support there. And you have same thing for the passenger side. Again, it's labeled passenger. And then you have your connections, resistor, ground point for this side as well. And then it goes fog light connections for that side as well. Again, everything's labeled. And then you go to what, this is probably a little bit more of the difficult part of installing the harness, just because it's still technically plug and play because you're not splicing any wires and you're not tapping into anything, but you do have to run this part of the harness through the firewall. So what you're gonna do is you have, this part is where it'll plug into the headlight, and then you'll run it up along the passenger side front fender, and you have this with the 3 inline fuses on it. This is going to go into one of the, just a stud on the fuse box. Pretty much anything works for this, it just needs 12 volt power. And then you're going to have another part of it that feeds off of it, and this is what's going to go through the firewall. So there should be a little grommet on the passenger side footwell around there somewhere that you can run these through. And once you get them through, you're going to go to the body control module on the kick side panel on the passenger side. And everything's detailed on what pin needs to go where on the instructions that come with the harness, as to what pin goes in what position, what pins get moved around, whatnot. It's also labeled with what connector these are going to go into. They're all individually labeled, just so you are for sure which pin is going into the correct connector or not. And again, like I said, it tells you on the instructions which pin you're going to replace these wires with, and what pin number these slots go, or these pins go into. So, like I said, that's a little bit more of the difficult part of the harness, wiring the harness up, just because you do have to go through the firewall. But this, along with the forescan changes that you'll have to make, just make it pretty much like you're installing it, and it'll work like it would from the factory. So once you get this installed as it should be, once you get the forescan changes done like they should be, it'll work. The DRLs will work like factory. The projectors will work like factory. The turn signals work like factory with no hyperflash, and you won't throw any codes, any of that sort of stuff. And again, there's no splicing. You're not using. You do have these 2 resistors on this harness, which is a little bit different than the previous harnesses. But again, you're not relying on different resistors for a bunch of different stuff. Also, I will say for these headlights, the headlights that we're installing are like I said, they're the upper end set for the 2021 F-150s that come on platinums, limits, and whatnot. And they have a function called like adaptive LED is what it is, where the projector itself turns on the inside of the headlight when you turn the truck itself. It's a pretty cool feature, but it's not yet fully available to work on these trucks yet, just because you have to have a certain module in order to install it onto the truck and make it functional. But here in the near future, hopefully soon, we'll have it so that we can supply that module too if you want to have that function work, the adaptive LED and whatnot. But as for now, it's just, if you do install this harness, you don't have that module, that's the only function that's really not going to work on the headlight, just because it requires a little more product, a little more detail and whatnot. Okay, so now that we kind of got everything detailed out and lined out and whatnot, we're going to go ahead and put it on the truck, connect all our connections, and then we'll tidy up our wiring and whatnot, and then finally we'll run this through the firewall and get it pinned in, and then we'll throw the headlights on, get our force can changes made, and then make sure they all work. Alright, so we just got done fishing the wires through the engine bay, or the firewall here. And there's, this on the passenger side of the truck. There's, if you will look in here, there's a bigger grommet. It's more circular in there, and it's a good sized grommet. It's the one, there's a smaller one next to it that will be the shape of this grommet right here. This is the grommet we already pulled out. We have it fished through this wire. And so this is the grommet that you're going to want to feed the wires through. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to do it. It's not the easiest thing to do. We used a coat hanger, such as this, and what we did is we stuck this through first, and we'll show you on the inside too a little bit of what we had to remove in order to get it through. But once we got the coat hanger through, we tied the wiring harness to it and then just fished it through, and got it through to the other side. And then once you have that done, you can come over to the inside the truck here, and you can kind of see where it's coming from. These are the wires that we already have pulled out, and then I'll get in here and show you the shot of it. But what we did is there's a little box right here that you need to remove from these. There's 2 bolts up in there, that if you remove those 2 bolts or the 2 nuts on that and then get that box off, then if you can, you get the coat hanger fished through, it'll come down, and there's 2 little openings in the carpet of the floor, and then you get the coat hanger through, and then it's just easiest to pull it out that way. So what we're gonna do now is we'll put everything back, and then we're gonna take our pins and we're gonna repin where we need to stick the pins in for the original connectors that go into the BCM. So we're gonna go ahead, get those pinned, and then start to put everything back together, and we'll go from there. So as you can see in this picture, this is pretty much the passenger side footwell fuse box. This is if you're looking at it pretty much straight on. So you have the connector that's circled in red. That one is connector C2280G, and the connector that's circled in green is C2280F. And the instructions on the conversion harness instruction sheet will tell you which pins go into which connector, so you won't really have to guess. It'll actually tell you which pins to pin out and then repin, and where to add the new pins. So this picture kind of just helps clarify which connectors you're going to be unplugging and using to put the new pins into.
So Hunter's over here, he's hooking up the lights, he's got to re-pin the wires, and we ran out of lights, so we got this contraption going. Don't know how the tape's going to come out of his hair, but it's working for now, so we're happy.
Alright, so we just finished it up, got everything installed, we got the wiring done. We can't show you too much of the 4-scan changes of the values that we changed, just because it's kind of confidential, honestly, on what needs to be changed. So, but if you have questions, you can definitely let us know. We got the headlights in. They obviously look a million times better than the halogen ones that were in there, and also taillights as well, harnesses, everything. If you guys are looking for this, we have everything on our website, from the harness to the taillights to the headlights to the headlight harness to everything. The fog lights, like I said, we're going to be changing on this truck here shortly. So that'll definitely help change the look too, and complete the front end. But yeah, I think it came out pretty good. Paint looks great, and the lights overall kind of complete the look of the front end. So like I said, if you guys are looking for any of these products, headlights, we have these on our website. You can add the harness too if you need it. If you don't have the basic halogen headlights and you have just like the mid-level LED headlights, you can still swap these for those. Those are not, they don't necessarily require a harness unless you want that adaptive headlight turning function to work. But like I said, if you're looking for any of this or you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, message us, whatever it may be, and then we can get you helped out. So thanks for watching. If you got any questions, give us a holler. Till then, we'll see you.